A person has karmic restrictions in their life that binds them and makes it impossible for them to go beyond that. That's essentially just consciousness governing your life as karmic, right? And so this energy can still change that. We've seen this energy transform people's destinies and their fates and fortune. It can transcend karmic barriers as well. But what makes it unique for that person, whether it's temporary or permanent, is whether they're able to.
Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Linda Lang.
Hi, this is Linda Lang from ThoughtChange.com. We are exploring the mystical side of life once again this week. If you enjoy our conversations, remember to subscribe, share it with your friends. Today, I have Dahryn Trivedi with me. She is a spiritual teacher and a gifted conduit for divine energy. We are talking about the power of blessings and how they can really uplift our life on every level. Welcome, Dahryn. It's a delight to have you here.
It's so good to be here.
So, is it safe to say that the ultimate goal is to help us all reconnect with divinity? It's wonderful to affect the physical aspects of life, the quality of health, food, abundance, all of our human issues that we deal with here on earth. But if we all have that connected funnel of energy, just imagine the incredible change on the planet.
We're talking about a new paradigm, a new era of life. Because this is something that is unique about this energy is a lot of modalities and treatments that exist just fix breakdown. And you don't have a lot of options, right? There's so many people who are trying to do things to upgrade human potential. And that is, in fact, far more difficult than treating breakdown. People have had more success scientifically in personal development treating breakdown or resolving an issue than enhancing potential. And so when we see collectively as a humanity is that this blessing has the actual opportunity and capabilities of not just fixing breakdown, but enhancing potential. We can upgrade humanity. We can transform and revolutionize our food industry. We can do that in science, even in medicine. This can work on even pharmaceutical drugs, antibiotics. We've seen that in some of our studies too, where you have drug resistant bacteria like superbugs that no longer respond to antibiotics. And just by either blessing the bacteria or blessing the antibiotic itself, you can create a new antibiotic that, with the same generation of antibiotics, you can kill superbugs that are now resistant to it. Or by blessing the bacteria, you can make it now susceptible to previous generations of antibiotics that are now considered obsolete. So we can actually create drugs and therapies that can help that are no longer usable anymore by modern medicine and science. And we can also create products and things that can completely improve people's health. And then this energy itself has the potential to upgrade, to improve, to enhance potential, to elevate it beyond even the current realm. Let's say you have no problems, you have no issues in your life. Well, people, our clients, everybody who's come to us have come to us from 2009, 10, and 11, back when we did marketing a long time ago. And we stopped because my husband, more than anything, my guru, right, he wanted to establish a credible scientific database before he even marketed this, right? Which would be hard for a business to sustain itself without any marketing whatsoever. Right. And at the same time, all the clients that we have today, well, they're more like family to us than clients. We know every single person's name, their date of birth, their issues, but they've stuck with us for all these years. But you can imagine how reputable that is, that all of the clients that have come to us from those years have stayed with us till present day. Right. That shows how significant this is, that their problems have been resolved and they still continue to stay with us because they can tell the difference in their quality of life, in the way that their life is, the way it enhances even just the way they feel, their opportunities, right? Whatever it may be that they're getting from this, they feel such a huge improvement that they almost can't live without it anymore. They just need to stay and be in this energy because it makes such a dramatic shift in their perception, their mental and physical well-being. their relationships. It brings more opportunities, it improves people's businesses, their finances, their sense of purpose. It gives them clarity on what to do next in their life. I know it sounds like almost too good to be true, but that's really what it is. It is too good to be true. It is miraculous. Even sometimes I'm dumbfounded in what it's capable of doing because it's not even like something I can't possibly know everything this energy is capable of doing. And it still surprises me to this day when we come out with a new result from one of our experiments and we see what it's capable of doing. And it just shows how miraculous this is. So, no marketing whatsoever, and people stay because they get an outcome.
Too good for our human mind to consider it true just because of our own limitations, right?
Doesn't mean it's not true, just too good to seem true.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, in addition to our scientific studies or all these significant science experiments, we also have a very incredible database of human testimonials. So, we also have subjective experience. All of the benefits we have of the blessings, a lot of them are just the consistently reported results that we have from people. And one of those people is actually my assistant. She's here, behind the scenes helping me with all of this. But she has an incredible story. And she started off with no belief in God, being a complete atheist, not believing in anything at all, to having more faith than anybody I know, actually, because she's more passionate about talking about God than maybe even I am sometimes. But what happened with her in her life is she was always struggling with her mental health, emotional health, suffering from a lot of depression, even times in which she felt she maybe didn't want to live on this planet anymore, a lack of purpose, just an incredible amount of mental and emotional suffering. And on top of that, she had a very big chronic disease, a chronic illness, Crohn's disease. So hers was so severe, right? People have different levels of severity with Crohn's disease. Hers was so severe that she actually had her colon removed. At the age of 19, she had her colon removed. And the doctors were amazing. They were able to connect her intestine so that she was able to function without a colon. But you can imagine living without a colon. Your quality of life is degraded. A lot of your neurotransmitters actually exist within your colon. So you're dealing with a huge lack of neurotransmitters suddenly. So even a greater decline in mental and emotional health than ever before. Severe depression, anxiety. She had serious pain, chronic inflammation. It's an autoimmune disorder. So her body was always attacking itself. And she also was constantly in and out of the hospital, trying all these different drugs and therapies and things that didn't really work for her. Even the drugs that were meant to suppress her immune system wouldn't work. She'd be constantly in and out of the hospital, having surgeries, getting infections all the time. And on top of that, she was using the bathroom maybe 25, 30 times a day because you don't have a colon, you don't have that holding receptacle anymore. So she had no way to hold in anything. So she was always running to the bathroom and it was living in constant anxiety. You can't travel, you can't live. You always need to know where the bathroom is urgently at the next moment. Where's the closest bathroom to me? Right. And so you see her whole life. And I always like to say she is, as an assistant, she's overqualified, right? Because I want you to know she's a lawyer, she's a CPA, she went to Deloitte, she worked at a major law firm in Chicago, she studied at Northwestern University, right? She's very qualified, overqualified to be my assistant. So she's a very intelligent young woman. And she went through all these experiences in her life. She tried everything and nothing really helped her. And then, by a mutual friend, another client of ours who ended up introducing her, she ended up coming to us. She received a blessing. And I'm telling you, the quality of her life that she has today, she no longer uses the bathroom like 30 times a day. Now it's maybe 4 times a day. Unheard of. She's no longer on any medication. She needs no medication. She never goes to the hospital. And in fact, she's overdue for a colonoscopy. That's how good her health is, that she doesn't even think that she needs to maintain or go in and get regular checkups anymore because her quality of life, she has no more inflammation. Her body is no longer attacking itself, right? And on top of that, her mental health has improved. She didn't even know what happiness was before. She always says that to me all the time. I never knew what happiness really was. I never knew what it meant to be happy until I got these blessings. And now I'm happy for the first time. And it makes me emotional just talking about it. But she's such a vibrant, happy person now, completely shifted from who she was before and the life she has now. Her life is completely different. And she's living with so much joy and happiness. She has an incredible sense of humor and her quality of life, her health. She also has severe debilitating arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis. I might not be able to say that right. But it's a severe spinal dystrophy disorder, right? Where it's chronically gets worse and worse over the years. And it's a huge arthritis, inflammation, spinal column fuses. It's a bunch of problems. She essentially has no symptoms of that, no issues whatsoever. She's living essentially symptom free, right? Things that nobody would have having that condition. She's living a life that is something that nobody with that condition would live. So her life has completely moved to a different trajectory that is not something that she could have or even was able to achieve before with all the alternative other modalities. She tried a lot of alternative other modalities as well, conventional therapy, meditation, everything, and nothing was able to produce these results like these blessings have done for her. So that's why she's my assistant now, is because of the transformation and the incredible outcome she's experienced. It motivated her so much that she wanted to join our organization. She left behind working as a lawyer and as a CPA and instead wanted to devote her life to this mission and to working to help bring other people these incredible outcomes that she experienced for herself. So I love to share her story because it's so powerful, but that's one amongst many others just like her.
I have so many questions about the blessings themselves. Once you have a blessing, is that it for that blessing? You don't need to redo that blessing. You have that level or that specific energy shift from here onward. Is that correct?
Let me put it this way, is the blessing itself, while one blessing has the capacity to improve a lot of problems or even completely resolve them, right? For the clinical trials that we did, it was only two blessings that we administered, right? And with two blessings, all the problems that they were having in the moment, nearly 100% of them were completely resolved, right? And even with these experiments in non-living materials and life sciences, agriculture, just one or two blessings is enough to reproduce those type of outcomes, right? And we've seen even crops that were blessed back in the early 2000s, right? A cashew crop, for example, that same land of cashew crops is still producing those incredible outcome to this day, to this present day. But the thing is, when we get to human nature, is that humans, a lot of times we're dealing with things, and this is where we go maybe into a little bit of religious theory or spiritual theory, but also a scientifically founded spiritual nature is the Dharmic principles, right? And so basically, there's a way to conduct yourself and to live life in a way that makes you a better receiver or a better conductor for this energy. And this is not just moral behavior, though morality is definitely involved in it, but morality is also subjective. But this is more of just a divine principle and fundamentals in ways that you conduct your lives and you gain energy, or energy gets depleted by even the people in your environment, your associates, right? Just the ways you conduct and live your life. And so a lot of that, first and foremost, requires consistent nurturing for that person to truly understand, because we don't have a foundation for understanding the nature of divine or any of this. The best ways we have to understand that is somebody who's already established in that, which is someone who's enlightened, is somebody who truly has that full comprehensive understanding, who can connect you and establish you yourself. Now, all the benefits you get is not necessarily from that enlightened teacher or that enlightened conduit, but rather it's your direct connection to source itself. So what this enlightened teacher, this enlightened conduit does is they bless you and connect you to the God of your understanding or God of your not understanding. And as a result, you get all the benefits from that. But what these blessings do is they're compounded. So we still have to work within the confines of nature, right? If you could change everything like that, you can imagine that there would just be incredible destruction and upheaval everywhere. It's a progression. It's a journey. So some people, depending on the amount of issues and degradation or decline that they have in their lives, they might need more in order to resolve those issues. For example, cancer. Cancer isn't something that happens one day. It's something that happens over a long period of time, and it manifests one day as cancer. But it's usually caused by chronic years of inflammation that eventually mutates these cells into cancer cells. Every day we actually produce cancer cells, but the body naturally purges it and detoxifies and kills off these cancer cells and removes them from the body. But when it gets out of control, when we exceed the capabilities of our body to remove these cancer cells, that's when we actually get that manifestation of cancer in our lives. So it's a long progression. So we have to go on the journey of reversing that. It's not an instantaneous moment of it's all gone, though some issues, definitely we've seen that happen too, as people have reported what's most consistently is within usually one blessing over a period of even a couple days or within 2 weeks, people experience high quality sleep where they're able to enter into a very deep sleep, wake up the morning feeling completely refreshed without fatigue. And they felt like they've slept like a child, like they've never slept before in their lives. And that's the foundation for health is good quality sleep. An indication of that is also lower inflammation, lower stress in your life. All these things are ripple out. They build a foundation of health that compounds on each other with each blessing. And as a result, you end up in this state of complete vitality. And then after that, when you enter into that neutral place of vitality, where you're on this neutral part of the spectrum, then you can go into upgrade, where your life is enhanced, where you have potential or increased potential, right? And I like to say the capacities of this energy is limitless because I haven't seen a point in which the blessings stop working for someone. They always continue to compound and build momentum. But like it's a journey. It's not like a one-time event because that's just not how life works. That's not how human life or even how nature builds life and creates life. It's not, you're pregnant and one day you're there, right? You go through a period of pregnancy. You go through a period of growth and maturation until eventually you see the outcome. And that's exactly what these blessings do. Sometimes it's an immediate and sometimes it takes a little time, but what's consistent is that people always get outcomes and the outcomes are always incredibly significant, unprecedented, and unlike any other conventional or even other therapeutic alternative and complementary modality we've seen today.
Would there ever be a circumstance, maybe due to karma or a specific purpose that a soul has come here to learn and grow through, that perhaps that blessing wouldn't make a full and complete shift for that particular person?
So, this is where I like to talk about being a good conductor, right? And one example of that is you have an iron bar and a magnetic iron bar, right? What's the difference between the two? An iron bar, if you look at its atomic structure, the atoms are everywhere, they're all over the place. So, this energy that already exists within nature, we can say magnetic energy. A magnetic iron bar doesn't produce magnetic energy, it harnesses it. Because these atoms are everywhere, it's a lot more difficult for that normal iron bar to harness magnetic energy. Now, when you transform that, because it can be transformed, and that's what this energy can do, it can transform you and uplift you into a better conductor for this energy so that you can harness more of this grace of God or this divine energy, and you can experience the full benefits of it. But there's maybe a period of resistance or something initially just within consciousness that can happen. But I have not really seen an area where somebody has not been able to receive benefits. It's more like whether the benefits are temporary or permanent. And so when we get to this magnetic iron bar, these atoms, these molecules become perfectly aligned. They're in perfect straight lines, we could say, or they're disciplined. They're aligned or disciplined with that magnetic energy in the environment. Okay? And so this discipline allows that magnetic energy to be able to be harnessed through that magnetic bar. And as a result, that magnetic iron bar, now we could look at it as producing this magnetic energy. It's now more useful. It has better efficiency. It can do things that a normal iron bar wouldn't be able to do. It has more capacity. It can make other iron bars magnetic as well, right? So that's what we can say is the difference between being a bad conductor and a good conductor is how much of this energy you can harness. Not that you can't harness this energy, but more how much and whether it's permanent or temporary. Now, some people, that's where I talk about Dharma and the divine principles and fundamentals. Because whether you have, maybe we're talking about karma, right? Whether you believe in karma or not, but let's say karma is real. Okay. And you're saying a person has karmic restrictions in their life that binds them and makes it impossible for them to go beyond that. That's essentially just consciousness governing your life as karmic, right? And so this energy can still change that. We've seen this energy transform people's destinies and their fates and fortune. It can transcend karmic barriers as well. But what makes it unique for that person, whether it's temporary or permanent, is whether they're able to implement the divine principles and fundamentals, which is the Dharma, right? Which is basically saying we exist because of the absolute, we exist because God exists. And so, how do we match our nature with the nature of God? How do we match our characters and behaviors with the characters of that divine authority? Instead of following the characters of our belief or our society or how other people want us to be, whether we're living authentically, whether we're living in that truth, the divine truth, not personal truth, or whether we're living in accordance with something else. And as a result, you see the people who are able to do that and implement those changes in their lives, they experience real transformation, which is permanent and lasts as long as you maintain that connection. Some people, they only get the quick benefits of it when they're not able to maintain that and follow that. But what usually ends up happening is these people just come back for more blessings. So they just get a blessing, they get the benefits from it, right? And they might not experience permanent level transformation, but they still get benefits. So they just keep coming back and getting more blessings as a way of bypassing that. Which, it's not the best way to do it, but that's how some people do it because it's difficult to change someone's character and behavior without them wanting that sincerely.
Until they do, right?
Until they do. But it still has an effect.
How could it not, really, right? Because we all have that nature at our root.
I love to use this example because a lot of people, when I talk about Dharma, right, a lot of people aren't familiar with that term. And I feel like this is a very important understanding for the impact of this energy and people being able to sustain these long-term benefits or this transformation. So I like to say Dharma, if you can imagine it as electricity. Okay, so electricity exists everywhere. Okay, it's not something that you reproduce or create per se. It's something that already exists that we harness. That's what science does, is it detects a phenomena, it locates or it discovers a phenomena. It doesn't make something that doesn't already exist. It just finds a way to harness that phenomena. And that's what we've seen all the technology and everything we have today, all modern discoveries is harnessing an existing phenomenon. And so what this divine energy is, it's a phenomenon. So it's not a belief or something that exists there outside of phenomena. It is a scientific principle. It is a phenomenon. And so when we take electricity and we put it in a house per se, your house doesn't light up just because electricity exists. It's not going to automatically turn on the lights or make your refrigerator work or make your microwave or connect you to the internet or all those things just because electricity exists in the environment. That's not how it works. In order to establish that connection to electricity, you have to have the proper wiring, the grounding, the alignment. You have to have something in order for that current to flow. Right? And the same thing is true for this spirituality, for this divine energy, is that the divine is everywhere. And that connection has to be established before any level of transformation can occur. And that's the problem. A lot of modalities, they don't establish that connection first. They focus on the drama. It's like the turning on the light switch. You say, you just got to turn it hard enough. You're not turning it hard enough. Or you're not using the right light bulb. The light bulb's out, replace the light bulb. And a lot of people are doing that. They're using a lot of behavior-based or faith-based practices, saying just believe the light will work and it'll work. But you're not established in that connection, so you're not getting the results. And this blessing is a very quick, easy way to establish that connection for most people, where it might be harder because people need to already have those principles. They must be founded in them. And a lot of people aren't because there's no institution in the world that basically gives an education form or a government or anything that makes it common for the layman to understand what this is, because science has ignored it for so long, dismissed it because it's been limited to subjective experience or faith-based institutions. And so that's another reason why we want to establish this scientifically, so that people can have this connection. They can sustain it themselves. right? We might be the connector initially, but we want people to be able to sustain it and maintain it. And that doesn't happen unless people change on a fundamental level. And the only way of doing that is by proving that divine is real, because then you can work from there. You can say, okay, if divine is real, then how do I connect to that? If you don't even know divine is real, if you don't even know electricity is existing out there, how can you harness it? How can you use it? How can you create the systems where we use lamps, where we have electrical outlets, where we eventually lead to things like the internet, where you can connect to satellites? All these things happen because we know electricity exists and we acknowledge its existence. And the issue is we don't really know or commonly accept as a society that divine exists, at least outside of faith. And a lot of people don't have that faith. So, how do we take a phenomena and make it acceptable by scientific standards and then also make it able for science to harness it and use it? And so that's what the Dharma is. The Dharma is the utilization of it, is the implementation of it. So when you live in Dharma, you become a stable conductor for this divine energy. You violate the Dharma and it's like the wiring breaks and you short circuit, or you don't even have the built-in wiring that allows you to turn on the lights to get the clarity in your life. So the role of an enlightened consciousness, it's essential in this path, I like to say, because the enlightened teacher is like a master electrician who permanently connects you to the source, who comes into your house, does all the wiring, or the wiring's there, but fine tunes it and shows you how to use it as well. And then shows you how to plug in where the issues is. And once you plug in, then you can turn on the light. And after that, the electrician can also continue to upgrade the system of the house to add in more lighting, to add in more technology, more things that use that electricity and actually upgrade it so that you can actually live a better quality of life with less stress. Things are automated. You have a fridge to keep your food cool. You have internet access. You have all these different things that are available to you that weren't available to you before because you didn't know how to connect to the electricity in your house. So that's what these divine blessings do. It's not like a ritual or technique. It's not a meditation, and it's not even energy work. It's a direct transmission. And it's the Dharma that sustains that connection. So that's how that works, essentially.
Perfect metaphor. Wonderful, wonderful. Dahryn, where can we send people who would like to explore more about the power of blessings and perhaps even take some?
We actually have a special offer for everybody who's listening to your podcast. It's specifically for your listeners. And it's through our website. We have a specific landing page for people to go to. And I think you're probably going to link it in the description. But it's on our website. Our website is divineconnection.org, right? So DIVINECONNECTION, divineconnection.org. And you can read all about our scientific studies there. You can sign up for our mailing list. You can just learn more. We have our memberships there. Everything's available through our website. Sign up just to stay updated, even if you're not ready to sign up for a blessing. Just learn more and stay connected so that you can see what's out there. And maybe when we get the blessed food products out in the market, we'll let you know as well. But for specifically your listeners, for your audience, we have a very special offer where we're providing a huge first-time discount from 2 blessings, either from my husband, my guru, or from myself, specifically for everybody listening. And it's coming at a huge discount uniquely for you, first time only. But these people can visit divineconnection.org/exploring the mystical side of life. And it's all available on that page. You can see what you're getting there. We have 2 blessings from Guruji Trivedi. That's like a $500 value. That's only $200. And 2 blessings for myself, $400 value. That's now only $150. 2 blessings will have communication with everybody. You'll have direct communication with us so we can understand your problems, the issues you're facing, the different things that you want to resolve or improve in your life. And we can discuss and help you get these blessings so that you can see what it will do for you and the unique ways that it will treat you and improve your quality of life.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being my guest today, Dahryn.
Thank you, Linda. I really enjoyed talking to you today. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Exploring the Mystical Side of Life. You will find all of our conversations on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. Come visit me at thoughtchange.com. Pick up your copy of Learning to Listen, and we will see you again next time. Bye for now.